Hi, I'm Sienna, and today I'm going to be talking about having fun while painting. Now, I'm not an expert on art or drawing or anything really crafty. In fact, in middle school, when I had to draw a picture of Europe, it ended up looking like a camel. I'm pretty sure my history teacher was not impressed. But just because I'm not naturally talented or want to put in the effort to practice to become better at it doesn't mean I can't have fun while doing it. Whatever you make, it doesn't have to be museum worthy. You just have to have fun while doing the process, and honestly, I consider that a success. Today, I have a 10 by 10 canvas. I also have a pretty basic set of paintbrushes. Nothing fancy. I cut up some plastic bags to use as tarp for my table so that I don't ruin anything. Of course, I have my paint. I have the basic primary colors and white, which should pretty much give me every color I'll need. I have a cup where I'm going to be putting water. I am using a Tupperware top as my palette. Is that what it's called? This is where I'm going to be putting the paint that I'm using. And painter's tape. Probably not what you expected me to be pulling out, but I will explain why I'm using this later. Alright, so let's talk why I'm using some of the materials I'm using. First up, I have canvas. I'm using canvas because why not? It seems so fancy and cool and posh. And maybe if I really like what I'm making, I can put it up on the wall or something. The plastic bags as my tarp is just saving money and of course protection. I will always roll up my sleeves and potentially maybe I'll even tuck in a plastic bag to protect the front of my shirt because I am so messy. As soon as I open up this paint, it's just gonna be everywhere. I know it. The paint, like I said before, basic primary colors, plus I got lucky with this fourth one. And to get the other colors that I need, I'm just gonna mix them. So red and yellow is gonna give you orange, blue and red purple. And if I add white to these colors, I can get more of a pastel look, so it won't be as bright as what we have here. Pastel is kind of fancy, right? So I have the colors, I have the canvas, the water to help with the paint, the palette thing, so I can mix my colors on it. But why the painter's tape? So, as I said before, I cannot draw. Of course, if you can draw or you know some basics, you can use a pencil and do some outlines and put things where you want them so you know what to do. But I can't trust myself to draw anything resembling a straight line. So, painter's tape. I'm going to be using painter's tape to make designs I want. And that's one of your basic steps before actually getting started. Before you put the paint out, before anything, I recommend figuring out what it is you want to do, what design. Now, I love stripes, polka dots, and hearts, so I'm going to be using the painter's tape like that. Give me some really straight stripes. And I also found a way to use the painter's tape as a stencil. So I'll be laying it out and cutting out potentially a heart. If it works out well, we'll see, right? Now, what can I tell you about painting? Okay, so let's talk in more detail about using the painter's tape. Now, as I said before, you can do normal stripes. Some other things that you can do fairly simply is make little boxes. You can do lightning bolts. But I, as I said, am going to try making a heart. And because I'm going to be doing a bigger one, I actually went and got some wax paper and I put it on top of my canvas. This is so I know the exact size that I'm working with. And also, painter's tape will come off of wax paper so that you can then apply it directly to your canvas. Just reuse. Unless you can freehand it, that would be really cool. Just put them down into the heart shape. What I'm going to try to do is lay out all the strips of tape, and then I'm going to cut out in the middle, cut out a heart. So we have our design, we know what we're doing, and if you want to know what colors you're putting where beforehand, of course you can mark the spaces with a pencil. So we are ready to begin. Let me tell you what I have here in this setup. Like I said, canvas with your design, plastic bags that I cut up to protect the table, of course my paint brushes, Tupperware top that I'm using to mix the paints on, water to clean out my paintbrushes and potentially add to the paint a wee bit, we will see, the paints, and a paper towel to help with cleaning the paintbrushes and the paint I know I'm going to get on my hands. And yeah, this is what we've got. Okay, a couple tips before we begin. Before you actually start painting, you're going to want to mix your paint first and get the colors that you want. This is because really you're not going to be able to mix and get the same exact color twice. It's just really difficult. So you can. Acrylic paint does dry quickly though, and that's what we're using, acrylic paint. So you do want to be careful not to just leave it out to dry. If you do need to leave and you still have a ton of paint, then you can use plastic wrap or cling film and just put it over it, and it will keep your paint from drying out. And that's another reason why it's good to know exactly what you're doing before you get started. That way you know exactly what colors you're wanting to use and the paint won't dry out on you. Another tip is just to make sure if you're using the tape, again, make sure it is all the way on the canvas so that nothing will leak through, so you get those nice crisp lines. Okay, so I'm going to paint and let's see how it goes. Alright, I think that is good for now. I'm going to let it dry and then I will see if I need to do other layers. And with it dry, I can then take up the tape and add more potential polka dots. Yes, so I'm going to put cling film over my colors so I don't lose them. I will change out my water and come back when it's dry. Okey-dokes, it's been about an hour or so and it's looking pretty dry, but I think I can make it look a little better if I do another layer. So yeah, I think that's exactly what is needed. Alright, and so that is my second layer. I'm definitely seeing a lot more color and a less of the white of the canvas shining through the color. So yay for layers. Cool, so I did a few more touch-ups, so you can think of that as a third layer. And now it's time to take off the tape. And this is something you definitely want to do carefully and see how it went. So I don't like how my heart in the middle turned out, so I'm going to do a outline of that heart, and then I think I'll do a few extra little dots here and there. Let's see how this goes. Okay, I think this is the final time I have to wait for it to dry. Maybe I'll do another coat here to cover some of the purple, but I think I am okay with all of the white space. Maybe a few more dabs, dots here and there, but I think we are almost done. And that's it. We are done. This is my painting that I have completed. So I do still have a lot of white, a lot of canvas, but that's just the way I like it. And there was some spillage over underneath the tape, so I probably didn't put it down enough. A few last tricks and tips that I can give you after finally completing this. One, you might have seen me painting the edges of the painting. Now, you don't have to do this. I did it because I might just hang it on the wall as is and not put it in a frame. If you put it in a frame, it doesn't matter. Again, make sure that your tape is down very tightly and don't try to paint over the tape. If you'll notice on mine, it did go over. You will need to do a few layers if you want it to be a darker, brighter color on it. And again, the cling film over your palette or where you're putting your paint, it does help keep your paint wet. Keeps it from drying out. Alright, I really hope you enjoy painting. Truly, just have a good time with it and don't worry how the end product comes out. So go paint, be creative, and have a good time.